Hi, everybody. As everybody comes on, thank
Yeah, you might
you.
have to you might have to put me in as a organizer if you haven't yet.
You want to be a co-host?
Co-host, whatever. I just used the link that was on the email. I'm like, wait, I don't have a link. Oh,
Hey, Brad.
hey, how are you? What's up,
Good.
Orly?
Hello, my dear.
I miss you so much.
Oh, I miss you too.
You know where to find us, Mr. Korn.
Yes,
Yeah.
I do.
Just have to take a short flight or a long ride.
Yeah, it's a really long ride. I do need to come up there, man. I haven't been up there in forever.
Let's do it. Let's
So welcome to stay with me if you come.
make it happen. I'd come up just for that. You got to see our pool. Oh, I'd come in the summer then.
No, it just got closed.
All right, guys, it is 2:04. I want to thank everybody for coming. I'm sure we'll have some others get on as we move along. This is for you, okay? This is the top 10%. You've been exclusively invited because you fall in the top 10% of the Bergen County partners. And that is hats off to you because we have almost 1,700 agents. And so you are of the top. You have the cream of the crop. For many of you, you know me. Others that do not know me, my name is Mary Beth Olive. I am the Director of Productivity and Education for our Bergen County partners. And my intention is that we would do this kind of mastermind at least once every other month. I think it's extremely important for our top agents in our 5 market centers to get to know each other on a business level and trade some secrets and share and help each other. Through the years of KW, I've been here 17 years. I have thrived in environments like this, in masterminds where we can kind of really lean on our colleagues to see what's working, maybe expose us to some ideas that we haven't thought of, or maybe we abandoned and we need to return back to. So I am extremely passionate about helping you succeed, and I am glad to be here. So thank you for taking the time out of your day. We are going to be here for just an hour and 9 minutes at this point. We will be getting you out of here by 3:15. And are we ready to go? Yay? Yay.
Yeah.
All right. So it is Wednesday, little bit of the middle of the week. It's also a few days right before our fourth quarter starts. Some of the things that are super important is that we know our numbers. So I want to introduce my co-host, and probably he'll take the show, Mr. Brad Korn. Brad, could you just introduce yourself, give them a little bit about who they're going to be experiencing here today and moving forward?
Yeah, guys. So I just started real estate yesterday. Got my license. No, I'm kidding. Guys, I'm in the Kansas City market. I've been very involved with Keller Williams over probably the 20 years that I've been here. I was a recovering Remaxer for the first couple of years at Keller Williams, and now I'm just all in at KW, just because of the culture and probably the same reasons many of you are here. But I've been in a lot of different roles, and the whole time I've done that, I ran a real estate business that was selling 100 properties a year. I basically I've had my team as big as 9 people. I've had my team as big as 1 person and done the 100 sales a year with great systems, just systematized everything. I've automated it through campaigns and action plans in the database. That's probably the core secret that I have. And it's predictable. I know it's going to happen year in and year out, no matter what. So that led to several things. I became a team leader and opened up one of the first market centers in Missouri. Judy Johns, or the Johns family team, or if you know the Harkers out of Dallas that started the Heartland region, we opened up the first Missouri office on the Kansas City side. There had been one in St. Louis for a while, but I became the team leader of that, mainly because I was investing in it. When I first came to Keller Williams, the whole goal was to open up a market center. When that opportunity came up and I invested in it, I don't know that the core group that I was working with at that time, and this was back in the land grab days, I'm just giving you a little background here, but that was back in the land grab days of Keller Williams, where everybody would just grab an ownership group. And I was sitting with this group they were fighting over who was going to get what percentage of ownership. And I added up about 118% of ownership. And we hadn't even talked about who was investing any money yet. You know, you need money to buy a Keller Williams franchise. So I realized I was with the wrong group. But at that point, I said, I'm going to be the team leader. Now I'm running a business, 100 sales a year. I'm not a 7th level agent. Hopefully everybody here knows what the 1st level to 7th level. I'm sure you guys, I'm going to assume you all do. So I wasn't a 7 level business. I had to force my business to 7th level instantly because I committed to be a team leader when we couldn't compete or sell in our offices. So that was another thing in itself. But that led to ownership in an office, that led to becoming a MAPS coach. And then ultimately, I've got another story that I'll share with you another time, but that led to how many of you have maybe read the book E-Myth by Michael Gerber? E-Myth or E-Myth Revisited? Raise your hand if you have. If you haven't, or you haven't read it in a long time, it might be sitting on your bookshelf. It's E-M-Y-T-H, E-Myth Revisited by Michael Gerber, like the Gerber baby food. Probably one of the top 5 of all time ever written business books of all time. And the subtitle is Why Small Businesses Don't Work and What to Do About It. And basically, Michael interviews a lady that opens a pie shop, makes a great pie, but runs a horrible business. And it ends up consuming her life. She's working, 2 a.m. till 5, 6, 7 p.m. at night, and it becomes her slave. Well, guys, real estate, we are small businesses, right? We're actually even small businesses without the brick and mortar. We have our offices and stuff, but we're creating a business when we don't have our sign sitting out there. And many of us get consumed by the business too. And it's like, as you're expanding and growing, Keller Williams talks about leverage and hiring people. And you watch a lot of people, as a MAPS coach, I watched a lot of people do that too fast and too soon. And I will tell you that one thing that makes it great about sitting here with you guys is I have written E-Myth Real Estate Agent with Michael Gerber. So I basically took the real estate version and put that on there. The second thing that I did, just to bring, to be able to ignite conversations around this level of agents that we're all with, so we can have a very powerful mastermind, was the last 2 years I ran completely solo, 70 homes a year. I didn't quite hit the 100, but I also didn't work very hard. So nobody, not even a sign renter, guys. I did it on purpose, kind of like the McDonald's. Did you guys see the McDonald's? What is it? Documentary? Yeah, Super Size Me, where the guy eats McDonald's every day, breakfast, lunch, and dinner for 30 days and tracks his health. He didn't do it on purpose. He was going to show how bad his health was. So, but I'm telling you, the scary thing is the last 2 years, I've probably had the most profitable lifestyle that I've had, and bought and paid off cars, just bought a condo. If you've been to Kansas City before, we got the Country Club Plaza, which is like the shopping district, outdoor shopping. Just bought a condo down there. We just spent the night for the first night last night. I was going to try and go live from there, Mary Beth, but I decided, I better go back to the war room and kind of be ready to go. So anyway, guys, what I'm saying on all this stuff is I bring a lot of experience. I'm the 100 transaction guy. Don't ask me what my volume is. You'll be like, what? He's in this room? I'm lucky if I do 10 million in sales a year, but I sell 100 homes every single year. Our price point in Kansas City is low, but I built that into a machine that it takes no time to do it. And it's the bread and butter that just keeps everything else going, which led to becoming a MAPS coach and master faculty and all that stuff. So I know Keller Williams models. I know the MREA book inside and out. I've implemented so much of the MREA book. I've been to 7th level. I've created multiple businesses. And I'll just tell you one more thing before I just shut up for a minute, is that the model of the 7 levels for Gary Keller was that we would build 5 revenue streams that you could always have good, consistent income, and that real estate really is the vehicle to support your lifestyle, whether that's owning some other businesses, whether that's starting charities, whether it's taking time off and traveling. That leverage piece of building a team to the 7th level, that real estate was the driving force of it. So if you think about it, Gary's actually teaching us how to get out of real estate. not to be in real estate forever or be owned by real estate, right? So I've been around him a lot. I pick up a lot on what he says. I hear it 6, 7, 8, 10, 12 times. And then I know that piece is piece I'm gonna hang on to. So those will show up in today's conversation. But what I've done is my goal was just to have 5 businesses that generated $250,000 a year. So I knew I was at 1.25 million. And if any of them were off at any given time, at least you'd be netting $1 million. So where I am today, real estate business is 250,000 a year, predictable every single year. All the other businesses are somewhere in the middle, 50,000 here, a little 60 there, a little 40 there. They're not at 250,000. So I'm still on the journey with you guys, and I learned probably just as much at these as you will.
Awesome.
That might have been a little longer than you wanted, but.
Hey, no, I mean, I think that they need to know why we're in business together. We've had a lot of years and we've experienced it. So we've experienced the markets, and I love what Brad is saying, because yes, Brad will do 100 transactions in a market that will probably yield him more like 20 million, 15 million or so. And here we are working in a world where at 15 or 20 million, we could do 20 transactions. We could do 30 transactions and definitely hit that. So the thing that Brad brings to this conversation is that there are systems and models that you can create that will allow you to go from doing 30 transactions to 90 transactions. Because a guy like this has to do 50 transactions to break even in the business. And I love this because even as a young agent, Brad was somebody that I looked at on stage, and I said to myself, man, I could do 17 million. And then I thought, wow, he did 127 units and 17 million. Oh my God, I would move. But I did appreciate the fact that, wow, how did he do 100 and that's a lot of units. And now we can see over the last few years, we have agents that are breaking that threshold. We're breaking the 100 unit all the time. We see agents that are breaking 1,000 units now in our industry. And that wasn't happening back in the day. But if you could do 10, you could do 100, you could do 1,000.
Well, and
So
I'll add to that. I'll add to that too, guys. Here's the bubble I would like to put over this conversation. And I want you to know that this is like very real. So this 100, because I've done it consistently year in, year out, and it's just predictable. And I'm going to also say, I'm probably the laziest agent that does 100 sales a year. I don't really work it that hard. I just do what the system tells me to do. So there are some basic models, but the bubble that I want to put over this is every single agent, without a shadow of a doubt, and I'll share that with you at the beginning of this to get the conversation going, because I want this to be a mastermind you guys have never attended before, that is going to blow your vision out of the water. That 100 sales for every single person on your team. So if your team members are closing 1 or 2 or 3 deals a month, I am telling you without a shadow of a doubt, if you have 5 people on your team and you're one of them, you're going to do 500 transactions a year, every single year, predictably. And when you can bring the models and the systems behind that, and that's your value, right? You're not going to sell 500 homes that you're talking internet leads. It's not going to happen unless you're going to spend $50,000 a month and buy 10,000 every single month. Then yeah, you might. But I'm talking about doing 500 from our sphere, our database, based on the basic 4 laws of lead generation. And I broke this down and coached top agents and top teams throughout the company. 4 laws of lead generation. I won't ask you guys to tell me what they are, but I probably should. Build a database, feed it every day, communicate with it systematically, persistently, consistently, and then deliver service to all the leads that come your way, right? Whatever that was. What I noticed coaching every top team in the company is that everybody builds a database and delivers great service, but they're not feeding the database every day, and they're not communicating with it systematically, persistently, consistently. So that's the conversation that I think if we kick that off today, you guys would actually see, oh my gosh, everybody on my team has 100 easy deals sitting right in front of them. I mean, you will not be able to deny it when I share it with you. So
to put things in perspective, Brad, I did do a little research and I was looking at the NJ MLS and I was looking at the Garden State MLS to understand how many true opportunities are really out there. So here are some astounding numbers. In the last 12 months in Bergen County in NJ MLS, in the last 12 months, we have in all of Bergen County, there were 80, almost 9,000 listings sold. That means that there were 18,000 opportunities, closing units that were out there in Bergen County in the last 12 months. I looked at Garden State MLS just to see, maybe it's a little different there. Well, Garden State MLS year to date has had 15,000 closings. Year to date, and they had 7548 in listing count. So that's a double end, which is a unit. So we're talking about 15,000, 34,000 in the entire NJ MLS opportunities. So, I mean, we're up to probably about 50,000 opportunities in our immediate counties.
Awesome. So
our organization closed 6,000 last year. So I think that there's a big gap there, no?
well, here's the other thing I'll tell you, and this is kind of how I'll kick this off. And really, we do want this to be a mastermind. So I just want to give you a little core piece. I hope that your brains just completely unleash and we like have a conversation that you may have never had before, and or to really start diving into this to figure out why am I missing these deals? Because this is where I got to be honest. Like, I hope you feel ill after this opening statement. I hope you feel a little ill about where you are in your business, even though you have a great business, because you're on this call. So that tells you one thing. However, being in our comfort zone, I remember sitting in the masterminds with Gary Keller. And when you're in the big masterminds with Gary and the group, and you just get so much great stuff. And I remember him saying one thing that spoke out to me once. And I was a MAPS coach. I had great clients. Life was good. The business was running. The 100 sales were there. Life was good. And he goes, do you know you're in this room because you don't settle for being comfortable? Because you guys come here to stretch yourself and push yourselves. And honestly, guys, I was sitting there about as comfortable as I could possibly be, right? And I realized that I'm not supposed to be comfortable, that I do need to keep growing and keep pushing, because success is a journey, is what John Maxwell says, right? So I left that room and I said, man, I want to look at everything and figure out what I'm missing, because doing 100 deals a year is even way more comfortable than maybe where you are right now. And when I say 100 deals a year, I'm talking about adding 100 deals a year to whatever you're doing right now that you are missing that are happening. And I'm going to start with this. Write down or put in the chat.
Put it in the chat.
Yeah, put in your chat just how many Facebook friends do you have? And we're just talking about your profile right now.
Yeah.
If you have a team, I'd like you to take your team through this exercise. So just start typing in how many friends are in your Facebook friends list. Type those in. Also, while you're looking at that, if you pull up your phone, go to your contacts on your phone. And I know for iPhone, if I go to my contacts, let me get out of there. It's looking for somebody's name. If I go to my contacts and I scroll down to the very bottom, it will actually show me a total number of contacts in my phone. So as you're writing down your Facebook numbers, look and see what your contacts are. I think on Android, it might even show you at the very top of your contacts in your phone. Now start typing in that number, right? And see this, I didn't expect any less numbers than these. Most of us are going to be maxed out. If you're in this group, you're going to be around 2,000, 3,000, probably on average. And I also understand that if you're at 5,000, a lot of those are real estate agents. Some of them are affiliates. Some of them are this and that. So contacts, yeah, keep throwing that 3348 in the phone. I'm seeing 1799 on Facebook, 1,088 in the phone. So I think it's safe to say, based on the numbers that are coming through right now, you guys are all somewhere around an average of 2,000 between Facebook and your phone, right? Now, that's not even counting your database. That's not even count. Well, let's add your database numbers in there too. And some of those are going to be overlap and all the other things. We could take all that into consideration. all of you would probably agree that if your number is 2,000, there's probably 1,000 real people that are between overlaps and all that other stuff, not realtors. The other thing though, to keep in mind, even if they're a real estate agent, do you know I built a business where I had 3 or 4 different realtors over my career that got out of real estate because we know 60 to 80% of them are not going to make it through their first couple years. And also I got in young enough that a lot of them were retiring, right? So, and most of the time when a real estate agent retires, they try to sell their book of business. And I say try, most people don't succeed. So if you've got a good plan for it, then we need to share that on a mastermind. Most of the time it does not work. And the value that they're putting on it, or they think they're going to get, when you start trickling that back to what it would be in GCI, it's not worth what you're asking for it, and nobody's going to pay you for it, right? Or you're going to turn it over to a team member and just hope it stays alive somehow. You want these core systems that I want to kind of start the mastermind around and see what you guys are doing to stay in touch with the database consistently, persistently, and if you're feeding it every single day. Because I'll tell you the numbers here in a second, working with a big expansion team, and I was helping expand in a 6-month period. I went into the database every single day and I looked at the total. And I did that every single day with all the team members on the team. And I watched how the number grew with 10 team members. I had their names and I knew what they added every single day. We dumped 15,000 internet leads into that database in a 6-month period. Now, it was not my business, so I don't know what they spent on it. I wish I would know, but I already kind of know. I think it was somewhere around $10,000 to $15,000 a month they had to have been paying. But 15,000 leads in 6 months. And at that point, when I pulled up the MLS sales, we were at 72 sales. This team does about 200 sales a year. So we were at 72 sales on 15,000 leads with an ISA department and 10 buyer's agents. And everybody's closing 1 or 2 deals a month off and on here and there. So the team looks great at 200 transactions, but 15,000 leads came in and they were paying X amount of dollars. And we had 72 closings in a 6-month period. That year, they ended up around 200. By the time you take out anybody saying 50% of my leads are from, relationships and referrals out of my database, that meant 35 sales came from 15,000 leads they bought. I think I can justify why Gary says buying leads is not where we should be spending our money. And in this group, one thing I took to heart early on was I will not spend $1 unless I can make $5 to $10 back on it. Orly, if you guys know Orly, her and I have spent a lot of time with the top techie realtors in a group called the Cyber Stars. And there's all kinds of cool, fun, techie things we talk about at our get-togethers and our masterminds. So many of those things I just couldn't do because I might have seen a 2 or a 3 times return, not a 5 or 10 times return. So I just wouldn't do them. I don't know if you remember at Orly, but we had Bob from Louisville. He really was like, we were getting into this ROI thing real deep on a Tesla. It's like, I said, I can't get the Tesla until I can justify a 10 times return in real estate. And he's like, what? Come on. And I'm like, no, because I don't need a Tesla. If I'm buying a Tesla for my real estate business, I have to get a return on it. How am I going to make that happen? That's why I don't have one yet. Now, if I have profit sharing dollars, $100,000 sitting in the bank and I want to blow it, I'm going to buy my Tesla. And that's what I am going to do. But I couldn't justify it in my business. Anyway, so let's go back to these numbers. If you have, for every 1,000 people on your list, whether you had 3,000, 5,000, whatever, let's stick with the real core numbers. The average person moves how often in your market? And this, I kind of need you guys just to shout out if you want to unmute or type it into the chat or something. How often would you say the average person moves in your guys' market?
7 years.
I hear 7. Anybody say anything different than 7? Are you seeing it 5? Or are you seeing it 10? Or what do you guys?
Stacy's saying 10.
7.
I think 7 to 10.
7 to
7
10.
to 10, Sally says. Mhm.
Yeah. So the National Association of Realtors has always said somewhere between 3, 5, 7, 10. Hot markets 3, slow markets 10. I know you guys all experienced the 10 years somewhere around 2008, 2009. It actually started in 2005. The reason I know the crash started in 2005, and if you know that, cool. the one reason I was confirmed I was right is because there's a little movie called The Big Short. Have you guys seen this movie yet? If you haven't seen it yet, get it. 2005 is on Christian Slater's screen, Batman, but now he's the techie nerd in the movie. I think it's Slater, right? Christian Slater. So anyway, it shows 2005 and he's doing some numbers in the back of a bank and he's looking weird, like, what the heck? That doesn't match up. That's when the market started crashing. And I know that because I have a system that lists 10, sells 10, lists 10, sells 10, lists 10, sells 10, right? October of 2005, listed 10, sold 5. November, listed 10, sold 5. December, listed 10, sold 5. So by January, I didn't know what it was. I mean, I've just been on this ride with everybody else and not wondering if the sky could ever fall. And I knew something wasn't right. And by January, I was calling my sellers going, hey, we need to stop pricing 5,000 ahead of the market because I'm a smaller market, right? You might've been 10 or 20. We weren't pricing ahead of the market. We had to come back under the market because something's happening. I don't know what it is. And by 2008 is when the consumer actually saw it crashing, but it started in 05. And then it was like, I think it was family reunion, like 9 or 10. I don't remember where it was, but Gary was up on the main stage and him and Jay said, you guys do realize that it's 10 years now. And how I knew it was 10 years, again, I'm trying to get your juices flowing so we can really turn this into an awesome mastermind. The way I knew it was 10 years is I had a 10-year follow-up system on every single client in my database that we closed the house with. We hit the start button, and for 10 years, it would pop up calls, it would pop up to-dos, it would send letters through the whole entire 10 years. And right about 8, 9, or 10, somewhere in there, my 10-year plan started ending. I had never created a 10-year to 20-year follow-up plan because I'd never needed one before. We'd never been at 10 years before. Sure. So I had to create a 10 to 20-year plan, which I just copied that one and changed some things in year 11, year 12. Then I had to create a 20 to 30-year plan by 2020, 2015, 18, 20, somewhere in there. I now have a 20 to 30-year plan, right? And some people have gone on that, but not very many. But there's a lot of people that went on the 10 to 20-year plan. So we're going to, just for simplicity's sake, we're going to say 7, because that's in the middle of whatever anybody said. And you guys are still in a hot market, right? So we're probably really not at 10 right now. We're probably more at 7 to 5 because people are realizing what they can get out of their house. And I figured you guys would be the ones to get the best read on that. So let's start with just 1,000 people. Take the pure number, what it is. It is every 5 years, it is every 7 years, whatever. So if it's 7 years, 1,000 people divided by 7 is how many? 70, right?
No.
Is that right? Did I do my math wrong? Oh, 1,000 divided by 7 is 700. No, it's not. Oh my God.
1,000 divided by 70 is 14.
No, by 7. 1,000 divided
142.
1,000 people moving every 7 years is 142 people are absolutely moving in the next 12 months out of that 1,000. So if you have 2,000, it's 284 people. If you have 3,000, get it? You have over 400 people that are moving in the next 12 months. Here's the part that I just got real with myself on. It's like, well, I got 3,000 people in my database and I'm not doing 500 transactions. So I am missing a crap load of business. Guys, you have these people in your database. You have them in your Facebook friends list. You have them in your phone. Like, you've talked to them. You've talked to 1,000 people on your phone. 142 of those people are moving. And why are we not catching up with them? Lead generation. We built the database and we're delivering great service, but we're not feeding it every day to make sure they're on a consistent, persistent drip plan that every single person hears from us 4 times a year by phone, no matter what, right? And that was Gary's card file. Every single person was on a card. They went 30 days out, 3 months out, whatever. And he talked to every single person. So what I'm going to say is let's mastermind around. You want to blow up your business and double, triple, quadruple your business and start to get on a 12 to 2 return, which is the Met database, right? Many of them, if you look at your total sales divided by the people that you just had, you're still operating out at a 50-to-1 return. And what I realized as a MAPS coach is we talk about haven't met and met, but really, if you won't put those 1,000 people on an 8x8 because you think that's going to be spamming them, it just means you're not connected with them. So think of it as connected and not connected. And you might be completely disconnected from 90% of your database right now. So just call them haven't mets. Haven't mets, go on a 12 touch. That's it. Put your whole entire database on a 12 touch and then make it the goal to switch everybody back over by picking up the phone, calling them, writing them a note, seeing how they're doing, catch up with them, and then put them back on an 8x8 and move your entire list over to a real true 8x8. Because we're going to get a 12-to-2 return, which is 6 to 8 times more business than we're all getting right now, right? I do 100 sales a year lazily. I actually know of at least 30 sales that I missed out on last year because I track it. It's all in my drip plans. And when I call them and they already bought something, it was just because they were an internet lead and I wasn't going to commit that. I was one guy for 2 years, right? So I didn't follow up on everything, like hammer them like my other team members would have, or maybe you would have. So I captured those 70 very easily. All right. So the numbers are real. 10 to 20% of whatever number you have, 10 to 20% of every team member you have on your team, whatever their Facebook friends list and their phone list is, take that times 10 to 20. And that's how many deals they have, opportunities they have right now in front of them. What we have to do is start moving them off that list into command at 5 a day, every single day, by picking up the phone, calling, writing a handwritten note, and putting them on a smart plan. So now I'm going to shut up and see what's really happening in your guys' mind, because this is where the genius happens with this new content. Mary Beth, how do you want to roll forward with this?
Well, what I would love to do is I would love to break you guys up into small groups, maybe 4 to 5 people in a group, Jason. And I see Sally Ponchek has come on. Thank you, Sally. Hello. And break you up into groups of 5. And I'd like for somebody to be the scribe. We'd like to give you 15 minutes. And we'd like for you all to mastermind on where you got your last listing. What are some listing techniques that you have, experienced and you're getting success with? Just talk with each other to come back to the group so that we can start to list where you were getting listings from and listing ideas. Would that be okay?
Yeah, and I would even add in there, like if you're looking at this number and you did a real true 20% and you're looking at somewhere between 140 to 500 transactions, 500 people moving, what's the mastermind around how do you connect with people? How do you reconnect with people? How do you really stay in touch with them consistently, persistently to recapture? Probably for everyone on this call, I'm guessing 200 to 300 extra transactions over the next 12 to 24 months. You would see that start to show up, but you can quadruple your business. I would love to even see that be like, I know not everybody's doing it because we're not doing it yet, but based on where those sales came from and where you were getting your listings and how you're keeping in touch with your database, now it's like, okay, now how do I get the other 80% of my database on that plan? You guys know what I mean? Like if we all shared one great letter that makes somebody pick up the phone and call us every time, and one great email headline that gets a response every time we send it out, and we took everybody's one and put it into our drip plan, we would have the most powerful follow-up plan of all time. That would be like the most amazing thing.
So our goal here is that we're going to come back out of our breakout rooms with somebody willing to speak up to tell us what your 4 or 5 best strategies are coming out of your group. Then what we'll be doing is we will be typing them all up and we'll be sharing them out with you. So Jason, if you wouldn't mind, I'd love for you to put us into random rooms, and please stay and play. Be there, be present. We're only asking for 15 minutes to plug in with some of your from some of your
this is huge. Like what will come out of this
is huge.
Huge.
Okay, so 4 to 5 people, Jason, put them in the groups, please. And leaders, we will be there with them. Hello. I love seeing all these faces. Awesome. All right, so we asked you to have somebody come back and report out. So I'd love to hear, what did you get from that? Ira, go ahead.
I'll start and represent Group 8. So it was Angela, Keith, Marav, and myself, and we actually had Coach Brad for a little bit. But most of us have received our last listings, and most of our listings through referrals, which is lovely. And 44% of our business usually is from referrals. But Angela actually had sent a card. And one of her clients posted it on social media, and it was really, really touching that they were acknowledging that their agent did this. And then Marav also had referrals, and Keith from former clients. So most of our business is from referrals. We all felt the need to improve our persistent, consistent touching of our database, but most of us do have plans such that everyone is contacted in one fashion or another. I'm that person that happens to be very fortunate and live in a condominium building with 126 units. So everyone in my building gets a postcard from me at least once a month. And those postcards include just listed or just sold. So people will actually stop me and as in the hall, and as Orly would say, I'll get a come list me phone call, but it's usually my doorbell ringing that they want to sell. So, but we were all pretty consistent.
All right, thank you. So what I'm hearing is relationships, referrals, a note card. Angela, do you think we could do more of those note cards? Would it be awesome if 10 or 12 of our clients would have notes like that posting all over Facebook?
Absolutely.
So if it's working, we want to, multiply that. Another group.
Well, just one more thing, because Keith did mention he actually got a buyer as a result of the social media posts, and the woman told him at closing that this is how she found out about the house.
Awesome. So to that, Keith, that's awesome. And I want to get you conditioned to be asking them right when you get them, hey, how did you find me? Because now you've spent maybe 4, 5, 6 months with this person. And if, hey, how did you find me was, oh, I found you on social media. I love that post that you were doing. Would that not have prompted you to do the post again the next day or the next week? Hey, I see Keith's shaking his head.
Absolutely. No, absolutely. I mean, this was just happened to be one that they came to an open house, and we, I actually was the only house I showed them. So I executed them as a buyer like really quickly. And so I didn't have that like several months of relationship with them as a buyer, but it was just a real eye opener for me, because I've always been told, the only reason I ever got social media accounts was because of my business. So then when it came to fruition and I actually got a check from it, it was a pretty cool experience.
Awesome. Love it. Thank you. So that was group 8. Let's go with another group. Paula? Oh, yeah, Jenny. I hear Jenny first, and then we'll go with Paula.
Okay,
Jenny?
no problem. That's okay. Yeah, I don't know what group number we were. What was predictable, we found that past clients and referrals were really the vast majority of our listings. And we had also started looking at expireds to try to fill the need for some buyer clients.
So old expireds, past expireds, because you were like literally hunting for listings. That prompted a lot of us to do that.
Buyers. Yeah.
And what did you say that was called? Product providers?
No. Looking for product for our buyers, like trying to find something. Yeah.
Okay. I said product providers. That's what you guys are. You're providing products in a good legal way. Okay. In a good legal way. So still hearing past client referrals, relationships, still hearing that. Paula, what about your group?
We had, a few ideas, and Kathy was in our group, and Stacy and Lynn Smothergill. And I'm looking for Kathy to see where she is. So Kathy Verbeck. So she had a good idea of, she does webinars on in smaller sectors of what she's been involved with, like schools and different things like that, giving them information. So that's really her sphere. And Stacy said, pretty much, getting it from her database and working her database in Sphere and calling. And I said that I had hired a buyer lead specialist to keep my buyer's agents accountable. And then when we meet, the buyers will discuss what they're having issues with or where they need to branch out, or a specific house or neighborhood they're looking for. And then I take note of that. And then I have my ISA, pounce on that, or we send out mailers or whatever. So basically, and the database, it always comes back to working our database.
But Paula, what I'm hearing something new from you is that you have a team of people, which I know some people on this call have a team of people. And what you're doing is you're meeting with your buyer team to expose the needs of listings that you need to go find to find the product for those buyers. So then
Correct.
It's giving you like ammunition to get out there and hunt for these listings with a real conviction that you really need that listing.
Right.
How many of us, show of hands, are doing that? Are you guys looking for listings for your buyers, meeting with your buyer's agents, understanding their needs like well before that buyer then buys the house and then they sold with some other agent who was in their area? Their area could be Union County. You can handle that. All right. So I love that. And old expireds. What else? What's another group that did not get to speak up and share your ideas?
We could do my group if you like.
Thank you, Dawn.
Okay, so we had Dawn, Seth, Carla, and Maria in my group. And again, we really are looking at, our major people, what we actually sort of, can do to sort of like get them to sort of react with us and hopefully, build the relationship. One of the things that I do is I try and do some events for them. I don't really have kids and stuff, so my events are usually for the adults. But I can do like a happy hour for all my single girls that I have in my database, which that usually goes down pretty well. I might invite 20 people, even if 6 people show up, it doesn't really matter. Those 6 people are really just as important. And in fact, it's almost better because it means I have more time to spend with 6 people instead of trying to talk to 20 people. So that's sort of like something nice. And they really like it. They actually like to get together. And then they all sort of like start talking to each other. And when you've got single women, it's actually quite nice because they actually feel like they've got a friend that they wouldn't normally necessarily know. So that's sort of something that I do as well. And we were talking about, you using people groups by age. So if you've got kids, parents with kids, and you can sort of like group those people together, they're all sort of similar sort of like age and stuff as well. What I had a very big success with last year, which was totally COVID based, was my whole pie event got sort of slammed a bit, and we ended up doing a party on the porch. Normally we used to have people all come to my house and pick up pies and have wine, and I bake and do crazy English stuff, and we couldn't do it last year because everybody wasn't allowed inside the house. So we decided, since I've got a wraparound porch, to do it on the porch. And I had a heater and music playing, and we had wine, and I brought stuff around, and we all just social distance. And it was probably the best party we've ever had. I couldn't get people to leave, so I think I'm going to try and do that this year. But I do also know that Amrita had a really excellent idea. And again, I'm just going to quickly go through this because it was an event based. She actually did right around this time of the year, she did a pumpkin painting thing. And she's got kids, so she invited all of her kids' friends to get together in a big field because it was COVID and we had a social distance. She provided long 6-foot tables, pumpkins, paint, plastic capes or whatever for everybody, and they all just hung out and wore masks or whatever they had to do, but they all apparently had a really good time. And I thought that was a phenomenal idea. I wish I had kids, but I don't, but that's a good idea if you've got kids.
I'm sure somebody will let you borrow some.
I don't know, it's getting a bit old for that. But I think actually the event thing is really nice. And I know that a lot of people do a lot of events. I know Stacey does events and a lot of other people do a lot bigger events than I do. But I think that's something that people really enjoy. And even though mine are only small, it doesn't matter whether you're a big agent or a medium-sized agent or whatever. If you're putting some people together, and it's nice because if you do it consistently over a few years, they all get to know each other, and you get them all in a room and you don't even need to talk to them because they're all talking to each other, which I'm now finding is really fun.
That is awesome. Thank you so much for sharing all of that. Hey, Stacy.
Thanks for the shout out, Dawn.
Stacy, what's an event that we haven't talked about that you do?
Well, I think we do, okay, I'm just going to circle back. So Brad, right?
Yep.
So Brad, I've never really met you. You sound amazing. Thanks. Anyway, so I think that we're all like influences of our own communities, and being top of mind and being influencers and being people that give back into our communities is part of what makes us all successful. And in keeping with that, we're coming from contribution constantly. And when you have a team, especially, most people don't like calling into their database unless they're coming from contribution, right? And so coming as a team leader, coming up with ideas that allows your team to be calling into their database quarterly in order to come from contribution, that's where events can be really, really helpful. So, and typically all the events are giving back to some charity. So we were just recognized from the Center for Food Action for like 8 years of consistent giving back through our pie event. So our pie event was small in the beginning, and now it just got bigger and bigger, where we're getting 7 cars of food to the CFA, and now SEG is in multiple locations last year. The point is that there was you don't get any resistance from the team when you can give the team a reason to call and feel as though they're coming from contribution. And I could talk my way around how coming from contribution can simply mean that you're an expert in your field and you're calling somebody to ask them if they have any questions about your field. Just like if a lawyer happened to call you and say, "Hi, I'm giving free advice about estate planning," you wouldn't think they were, idiots or salesmen. You'd be like, "Oh, that's actually really, really interesting. I would love it." Or if a plumber called and said, "Do you have any questions about your plumbing?" But for whatever reason, when agents call, we feel like we're being too salesy. And I think that that's a whole nother conversation about what value you put on your own profession in general. So the caveat is find something at a contribution, which is typically events are great ways to do that. And if you can, and I do that with the big pie event, which is basically we give a pie, they give food, and we made it into a big community event. We're also doing events with local police, firemen. We're going to do a softball game this year. Also, the other way is if you have any passion or hobby that you have that you can, use to help fundraise for a particular group. Like I happen to sing in a band. So my band has performed at, the high school fundraiser events, right? So sales is not in the front, but it's always there when I'm there, right? It's always there when I'm there. So if you're into golfing or whatever the hell you're in, or your kids are in, or whatever, it becomes an opportunity for you to, come back with an event that's surrounded by something you love that you can give back. And again, start with one. If you're new to this, just start with one.
Yep.
Just start with one, and then you go from there. So I don't know if I answered your question, but
totally. You hit it right on the head. I mean, coming from contribution and being connected to your community is what we're called to do. We're realtors, we're local realtors. I love what she just said, because that's the circle prospecting conversation that you can have with your neighborhood. You can have it with your database as to, are there any questions about real estate? Can I help you? Do you know what's going on in the market? Just calling for a free service, basically. We're providing that for you. And I love that, take that away from you, that there is an idea that you're being salesy when you're calling to offer somebody help. You're offering somebody something. The community thing I can absolutely relate to, Stacy. My family and I have been feeding the community of Perth Amboy since 2008. And one thing I can say is we've done that consistently every single month since 2008. The easiest way for us to do that was to have it on the last Tuesday of the month, or the first Tuesday of the month, or the third Tuesday of the month, to have some sort of consistency with webinars and events. And if it's in the community, I was able to get a lot of participation throughout the years. We've had different people show up, but if you know that Mary Beth is going to be over there on the last Tuesday of the month, if you want to get involved with a community efforts, you just show up, and it's really easy for me to sell that way. And
right, we do like I have a staging company, so we offer similar to what Kathy was saying. Like if you have an expertise in something and you can offer some sort of a seminar or a webinar and invite your people, again, it's just another reason to call. and people feel good about it. So so if you're supposed to be calling into your database once a quarter, then if you can put four events, one event, 3 webinars on your calendar, you just gave yourself 4 very easy reasons to call.
Thank you. Mic drop. Go ahead, Brad, you are muted. Let's get you unmuted.
Just before we run out of time, so I connected some dots here. Daniel was talking earlier about his client appreciation party, and I've already heard it from Stacy, and it's about, you know, coming from contribution and doing it. Here's the dots I connected. Like just what you said, Daniel, it's not necessarily about business. However, when we look at the numbers that we were talking about, if they're moving every 7 years, this seems to be the conversation I don't see everybody talking about. That is 15% every 7 years is moving, right? So 15% divided by 12 months means only 1% is ever moving at any given month. So whenever you're having these client appreciation parties, it's not about business. It's to be the touch in between, because there's those 15 people don't know when they're moving. Those 142 people we talked about, I mean, that's like 14 a month, but you have to talk to all 1,000 of them to figure out which 14 are moving this month. And you have to talk to all 1,000 of them every single month to get 14 sales every single month. So it's all the touches in between that we've just been talking about. They're like the bridge between the gap. Because if I come to Daniel's party and his number shows up on my phone, because let's just say it's 4 times a year, every 3 months, they hear my voice, right? So if I see Daniel's number come up on my phone, I'm actually going to take it. I've been to the party. I mean, we had 4 touches before the party even happened and after the party, confirming if you were coming, not coming. So I'm seeing him everywhere. What I figured out is all the touches that we're doing are the bridge to get them to pick up the phone versus let it go to voicemail if you're calling them out of the blue because you're at Bold and you're just calling to, you know, out of the blue, right? So. Yeah.
Amen. Awesome. All right. So as we wrap it up, we have about 5 minutes. We're going to do this often because I think that these conversations at this level need to be had at least every other month. And so I want to have 3 great ahas before we can get out of here. Something that went off, a light bulb that went off in this conversation today. Go ahead, Dan, you're going to have to unmute. Let's unmute Dan Mesrobian, right? There you go.
Yeah, so we were talking earlier about my group. One of the touches that we do, and Brad's right, is I do bonbon videos. So it isn't actually picking up the phone. You're literally videoing yourself on an email or a text message, 30 seconds. Hey, Mary Beth, it's Daniel. You know, just wanted to touch base with you, say hi. I was in your area the other day, past your house. You came into my head. I'm sure you probably know what's going on in the market right now. Hey, when you want to dive in a little deeper, I could post some market reports for you. You know, let's connect in the next couple of days and, you know, we can go over that. But again, just wanted to say, hey, blah, 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 hang up. Instead of just doing a regular email or, you know, something along that lines, if you're holding up a sign with, hi, Mary Beth, and I'm waving and you see me doing that, you're going to click that video.
Yes.
So your return rate is a lot higher on that than opposed to just doing an email or sending out a postcard, I find. So
awesome.
Along the lines with that.
Thank you. So using video message. Awesome. Dawn?
Yeah, I think actually just the numbers game. I'm really bad at calling people. I will be the first to admit that. I mean, I do call the clients that I really like a lot, but I need to call everybody, I know. So I think I just need to make sure that I'm doing that consistently.
Awesome. I see Stacy wrote, it's a math equation, and it is. It really is. It's time on task over time, consistent, suddenly, then gradually, then suddenly doesn't just happen. It's consistent habits daily. One more aha.
I always say persistence gets it, consistency keeps it.
That's right. That's right. Hey, one more aha. You're safe in the team. One more. One more.
I'll say one more.
Thank you, Julia.
I think I've heard all these wonderful ideas before and I implemented some of them, but I feel like just getting together on consistent basis, brainstorming and refreshing what you can do is really helpful to all of us professionals, that we think like, okay, but if we share like, oh, they actually did it and they had a good experience with that. So I knew about it like years ago. So how come I never did that part or whatever? Let me try. So it's just important to be reminded of doing all this, the wonderful things that we discussed today.
Thank you. Thank you, Julia.
It's not infotainment.
No.
It's not infotainment. It is not infotainment. Thank you, Nicole. Brad, would you like to close us out? Any last words on our mastermind? We have 2 minutes.
You know, I think it's awesome hanging out with you guys and listen to you all work through stuff. And, you know, I think we're looking at, there's more changes coming. There's big changes coming. We don't know what those are. People say it's a crash. People say it's this. People say it's that. The only thing I would say is the mode I'm kind of going into is I need to start stealing business back in my marketplace.
Yes.
And what I mean by that is, even talking to loan officers, they've got a worse job than we do right now. They have to start taking business away from their competitors, and we do too. So the only thing I'll leave you with is, this is Gary Keller talking in my head. And I remember going to Mega Camp, and when I was sitting in Mega Camp, it's supposed to be $6 million in producers up way back when. Now our 6 million is probably more like 30 million now, right? It's so out of relation from what it was. Like Cody Gibson said it on the expansion call, if you were on that. He's like, man, selling 100 homes 10 years ago seemed crazy. Now it's 1,000, like Mary Beth said. Here's what sticks in my head, is that Gary would sit there and talk for about the 8x8, and back then the 33 touch, for like 2 hours. And all I did when the book came out is I just did pages 133 through 148. I set up 8 touches in 8 weeks and made them 2 phone calls. And I just fed my database every day because the book said to do that. And that's how these guys made $1 million. And I would be blown away. I'm like, why is he still talking about this for 2 hours? I thought these were all top producers, right? And then he said something. He said, do you guys know why I'm talking about this for 2 hours? I'm like, did he get in my head? Does he get in your guys' head ever, if you ever hang around him, right? And I'm like, yeah. And he's like, we would not have any competition if you were doing it. I know you're not doing the 8x8 and the 33 touch because our competitors would be out of business. We have, what do we have here? Like about 50 people on the call, 30 people.
Mm-hmm.
If 30 people added 5 people a day, 1,200 people a year, that's over 30 to 40,000 people in Bergen County that would be in your databases hearing from you regularly. There isn't any competition. I mean, and then you do it next year, and then you do it next year, and 1,200 every single year, 5 people a day, everybody on your team. You're talking, you can take over a community of 1 million people in less than 5 years. So that was one thing that stood out. It still rings in my head all the time.
Awesome. So there was a quote that I had read a group just before this, but Oprah Winfrey says it, and she says that Howard Thurman says it best. He said, don't ask yourself what the world needs. Ask yourself what makes you come alive, and then go do that. Because what the world needs is people who have come alive. And when we do what we love and we're passionate about what we do, we get to show up as our best. And so it reminds me of what Jason Abrams had shared with us, is like, find your thing and stick to it and do it and have fun with it. And it's not going to look like what Daniel's looks like or what Stacy's looks like or what Paula's looks like. It's going to be what yours looks like. So I just ask you to take this in, take some notes, and it's not an infomercial. We need to actually apply. So good time, good use of your time. Raise of a hands. Good job.
Awesome.
Okay. Awesome. Brad, thank you so much for co-hosting this. We'll be back again. Guys, we're going to give you 2 more dates before the end of the year to get back together so you can put it on your calendar and invite a friend. All right, go kill it. It's only 3:15. You got some more contacts to make.
Thank you very much.
Great job,
Bye.
guys.
Have a nice day.
Hey, guys.
Hey guys, thanks for all your sharing.